first speaker is Richard Swarbrick, Assistant Manager, Department of Industry, Innovation, Science, Research and Tertiary Education. And Richard, I welcome you to do your presentation.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Hugh, for the opportunity to come to Kalgoorlie today and address all of you, to give you just only have to be a fairly quick sort of run through of the various support that's available from the federal government. I represent just one of the several agencies that do have programs that focus on small to medium-sized businesses. And as Hugh said, that's our departmental name up there. I won't repeat it again because you'll probably fall asleep by the time we get to the end of it. But basically we've got a range of programs, and I'll just run you through those now with a focus on, from a business's perspective, how what are you looking for in terms of a range of different supports. So first, let's have a look at the support that's available to improve your business operations. Mr. Francis mentioned Enterprise Connect, and that's the first support service I wanted to mention. Enterprise Connect has been around for a couple of years now, and essentially it's there to provide tailored assistance to individual firms, to basically lift their level of capability and competitiveness, and they do that through a range of different services. Probably the most common one they provide is the business review. The business review is conducted by an experienced business change agent or business advisor, who will actually come out to your business and spend a couple of days talking to you about where you've come from, perhaps where you'd like to go, talk about planning, issues around succession planning, and building up a business plan for your operations. The good thing about that service is that it's completely free. So that initial business review is provided by these highly trained advisors at no charge to your business. They'll make a number of recommendations at the end of that time, and if you wanted to pick up on some of those and perhaps pursue some of those, there's a further assistance through what we call the Tailored Advisory Service, and that's a grant of up to $20,000 to assist you implement some of the recommendations out of your business review. It is matched funding, so in other words, if you wish to seek the full $20,000, your business would have to match that with an equivalent $20,000. But it's there to help you implement some of the recommendations that would come out of your review. And if you're enjoying that and you want to go further, there's actually more support over a 2-year period under the Continuous Improvement Program, which basically looks at how you're then implementing some of those strategies and gives you an ongoing access to a mentor or an advisor to sort of, as a sounding board, to give you feedback on how some of those things are happening in your business.
Richard, excuse me, is that those services actually offered locally?
Yes, if you wanted to access Enterprise Connect, although they don't have an office here, they have a number that you call, and their office in Perth has a number of their business advisors that go out across WA and talk and do those reviews within regional areas like Kalgoorlie. So there is access to the service through Kalgoorlie. It's a booking service, so you have to call the number, and there's I've got a brochure at the back there. But you'd call that number, they talk to you about your eligibility, because there are some criteria there around eligibility, and then they could look at making an appointment for an advisor to come out. The last thing Enterprise Connect also supply is something called Workshops, Industry Intelligence and Network, or the WIN program. This is a succession or a series of seminars that they run to provide one-off support and training, I guess, to businesses who want to learn about some of the new developments in business development areas. And they advertise those on the Enterprise Connect website, which is down the bottom there. And there's also the phone number of Enterprise Connect there as well. My next slide is about businesses that want to expand into new markets or tap into export opportunities. I've highlighted two services that you may have heard of Austrade. They're the Commonwealth Government's assistance agency for Australian exporters. I'm not going to talk about that in any detail because we actually have a speaker here today who's going to talk about Austrade. Similarly, the Export Finance and Insurance Corporation is also represented here today, and Leela Hansen is going to talk to you later in the schedule about what services EFIC can provide to businesses that are thinking about export or supplying into an export-related project. But just so you're aware, that's part of the range of services that are out there. Now, there's businesses who are interested in increasing their research and development effort, or looking at innovative ways to improve their delivery of services, or perhaps you have a good idea that you think would be really good to commercialise. Within the federal government, there's a range of incentives for firms who are looking to do research and development. One of the agencies within our department is called AusIndustry, and AusIndustry administers the Research and Development Tax Incentive. The R&D tax incentive provides a targeted tax offset to Australian businesses to encourage R&D. So if you're a small to medium-sized enterprise, you've got access to a 45% refundable tax offset. So in other words, if you do R&D that's eligible and you register with AusIndustry, when it comes to tax time, your accountant can put in a claim that's equivalent to 150% deduction on the basis of the R&D that you've done, and you'll get that paid as a cash payment once your claim's been processed by the tax office. That's available for businesses with a turnover up to $20 million. So there's quite a range of businesses, particularly in regional areas, that could be eligible for that particular incentive to do research and development. There's more information on the AusIndustry website, and the details are there, or you can call their hotline. We'd be happy to talk to you about some of the criteria. I've also left a brochure at the back there about the R&D tax incentive. Commercialisation Australia is another agency that sits under our department. They offer funding and grant assistance to commercialise innovative intellectual property, or IP. They have a range of services. They also use a case manager or a business advisor model within that. And they have grants of up to $2 million to assist firms that are innovating new ideas and seeking to commercialise those ideas in the Australian market. I've got a few brochures from Commercialisation Australia at the back of the room, but they also have a very effective website where you can go on and have a look at the three tiers of service that they provide, and contact one of the case managers that's based in Perth if you wanted to have more discussion about that area. One of the areas that I work in is trying to improve the rate of Australian industry engagement on major resources projects. As the Parliamentary Secretary mentioned, this is an area of keen interest to both levels of government, given the large amount of resource development that's underway, particularly in Western Australia at the moment. The federal government responded last year in the budget with a $34 million program called the Buy Australian at Home and Abroad initiative to assist small to medium enterprises to get more engaged with major resources projects, and hopefully to win more work as a result. We've got a number of strands to the initiative, but one of those I wanted to mention is the appointment of 3 resources sector supplier advocates. These 3 people have been appointed recently to work with small to medium enterprises to look at the issues that maybe, or the barriers that are preventing firms getting access to major projects, and then to use some of that $34 million that I mentioned to then initiate some strategies and some programs that will hopefully lift the level of local content on some of the major resources projects that are underway at the moment. We have, of those 3 gentlemen, one's going to be looking at the energy or the oil and gas space, one's looking into iron ore, so he'll spend a lot of time in the Pilbara. But we have a third gentleman who'll be looking at other minerals, including precious metals, gold and nickel, which are of interest obviously in the Kalgoorlie area. Some of you may have heard of the Industry Capability Network, or the ICN. The Industry Capability Network exists to support suppliers to major projects, typically in the resources sphere. They're co-funded between the state and the federal government, and they're based in Perth. They maintain a database of suppliers to major projects, and they also encourage suppliers to register their interest through something called the Industry Capability Network Gateway, or Project Gateway site. So if you haven't heard of that particular service, I'd encourage you maybe just to Google Industry Capability Network, have a look at what they provide, perhaps think about registering with them if you haven't done so already, because as major projects come up, they will contact the ICN and they will say, give me a list of potential suppliers in this region that we're developing our project in. So if you're not on their list, then you're not going to be put in front of some of these major projects. So it's important to engage with the ICN if you haven't done so already. Lastly, I've just mentioned Australian industry participation plans up there, only because most major projects in Australia, particularly in the resources space, will have an Australian industry participation plan. This is a plan that they've agreed with government, both commonly at the federal and the state level, about what they will actually do to engage with local businesses. So they've told us all these great things that they're going to do in terms of engaging locally, giving work locally, providing information about project opportunities locally. So we would expect, therefore, that when local people are in the area of interest to those companies, that they're just aware that various commitments have been made by major projects to government about engaging with local industry. So if you find you're not getting any engagement, then I think both levels of government would be interested to hear about that, because we will definitely follow that up with some of these major firms and find out why they're potentially not doing some of the commitments that they made to us when they sought approval for those projects. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on firms that might be interested in developing their workforce. You might be looking around your situation and thinking about developing a firm, and obviously recognising that there's a training or development need within your staff. The Australian Government Skills Connect is a service that helps link businesses with the skills and workforce development programs and funding that is provided by the federal government. So there's a raft of programs out there that the federal government supports for training and skills development. But what we didn't have until recently was one sort of a one-stop shop that businesses could go to learn more about what programs are out there to support them. So I've only mentioned 3 here in terms of what's out there, but these are programs that you might think about in terms of their applicability to your situation with your staff. And there's actually the potential to get funding through these programs. So if you wanted to run some training, for example, in language and literacy, you could go to Skills Connect and have a look at their eligibility criteria and think about applying for some funding to run some training courses within your business. So the website link is there, and I'd just encourage you, if you haven't thought about that, as one aspect to follow up. Now, I've sort of been following this brochure today, which is the one that we've produced, which is like a quick summary of those relevant federal government services that are out there. I've got copies of that down the back as well, so I'd encourage you, maybe if you pick up only one brochure today, maybe make it this one, because it's good, and we've also got the list of websites and contact details on the back. Now we're going to end with a quick video from a Enterprise Connect customer who went through the Enterprise Connect service and has, as a result, has been able to expand their business. They're called GECO Electrical. They're based in Geraldton, but I think their story is just as relevant to firms in the Goldfields region. So, Andrew, can we run that?
Geraldton at present is going through a real growth stage with the mining industry. The resource boom is something that's been coming for a while. A lot of businesses are finding it hard at the moment to get resources to actually service it. GECO Electrical is the name of the business. Essentially what we're doing is electrical and instrumentation works We're specialists in industrial and infrastructure. Our business turns over around about the $10 million mark. This year's going to be upwards of 20, and so now we need to try and keep that traction in the market and keep pushing forward. There's always change. As shareholders, we all had different views of what would happen if one of us did exit the business. We needed a bit of help with it. We got introduced to Enterprise Connect from another business organisation. The business advisor recommended to do a business review. One of the key items that they did was tailored advisory services. So they came out with a bunch of outcomes basically and said, this is what we think you should have a look at. We pride ourselves on the systems and processes we already have in place. After the review, we realised we had a few holes. They asked us to look at whether we had a strategy if one of the shareholders wasn't here because they're key people, and come up with a cross-section of how our business is interpreted by our employees. Even though we had it in our heads as shareholders, we didn't have it documented or shared with all our people about what our future looked like. The goal for GECO is to be a statewide recognised industrial and infrastructure specialist. Profitable, sustainable and hopefully saleable one day. As a result of some of the Enterprise Connect work we've done, we've rebranded. We were formerly known as Geraldton Electrical, and the rebranding is now putting our positioning statement as being statewide. We've got a couple of exciting projects at the moment. We're down at the Port Authority at the moment with Carrara.
This is the biggest, most complex project we've done to date. This job is worth $15 million to GECO Electrical.
And the wind farm that we're doing for Leighton Resources. I've recommended Enterprise Connect to I don't know how many businesses. A lot.
Thanks, Mark.